Welcome back! We have a very big review of a very big game today. A review so big that we've had to cancel our comedy intro skit, hair and makeup, wardrobe, even the title card, but I'm sure you'll agree it's worth it. Shia, Legends of a Drift System is a game so big that the box stretches the very limits of human decency, and the cover stretches the very limits of what the cover artist was capable of. Quite a load of dead space in this picture. Maybe that's fitting for a game about dying in space. It is an absolute haul. You get a manual, which is good because manuals. You're going to get some ship layouts, a whole ridiculous quantity of those. You're going to get some damage crystals made with real damage. You're going to get some counters made from real counts. You're going to get cargo cubes. You're going to get dice. You're going to get metal coins. You're going to get tetraminos. God knows what they do. You're going to get a deck of cards. And you're going to get a galaxy. But of course, there's also the feature that everyone's been telling their mother about, the pre-painted ships. Compare these boys to a standard size reference pair and you see quite what a fleet you've got. I've seen some people online complain about the paint jobs, but I really don't mind. To be honest, if I was a Chinese factory worker making tiny spaceships for man-children on the other side of the globe, I'd probably be fired for painting tiny cocks on the fuselage. Anyway, all that's irrelevant because you will love your ship regardless. Let's start this review like a game of Sia, okay? Sia. You're going to have 3 little systems to run around in because no one else has explored further than that. You're going to have 2 little space coins to rub together, and you're going to have a ship, a tier 1, tiny tier 1 ship of your choice. And from these humble beginnings, you will attempt to become space famous, which is a lot like the regular fame, except there's a track involved telling you exactly how famous you are with regards to everyone else. But you're not alone in this. I mean, in a very real sense, you are alone. Oh God, you're so alone in the freezing darkness of space and your friends are out to get you. But in a much more real sense, this ship of yours is a companion. You see, every ship has a unique name, unique stats, a unique layout with which you can slot these tetramino-like facilities. So like, here's a bad engine and some bad shields and some bad blasters, and there's still a tiny little bad cargo hold for me to put some bad cargo. Most importantly though, every ship has a sort of backstory as to how you got it, and a victory condition you read out if you were driving it, and some more nonsense. This is exactly what you want from a thematic game. Tiny little sparks that will catch your imagination and set it alight, have you telling stories, you know? The very first game of this I played, my friend bolted 2 engines to a ship that had ridiculous afterburners anyway, and ended up soaring around the galaxy in a kind of Miami Vice speedboat, picking up contraband and always seeing what was over the horizon, whereas I had the persistent memory, and that was awesome because the persistent memory has harpoons that lets you sort of skitch behind other ships and get dragged along. It was great. Didn't really know what I was doing for like 5 turns, basically achieved nothing, but it was character, you know? I had an identity, which is rare in board games. Anyway, just as Zia conquers your imagination, you'll also find out it conquers your table, so do play it somewhere large. Anyway, how do you actually get famous in space? Well, it all comes down to mastering the game's 3 systems. The first of which is picking up, buying cargo or harvesting it and then delivering it to a planet that wants it. Or you can blow up ships, that gives you fame, and then you can steal their cargo if you want some extra money. Or you can do missions, which are kind of a crapshoot and mostly see you driving across the galaxy to places you don't want to be. So, perhaps you're thinking now, oh, I see, I'll become a pirate. I'll spec out my ship like a pirate. I'll be a pirate. Well, no. This isn't really like a follow your dream kind of thing. It's more like Space LA. Success in Zia is all about locating opportunities. Case in point, let's say you're Ghost Stalker here. The world of Azure, you can buy hollows, and then in the world of Kempler, you can sell hollows and make a profit and get famous. Except actually this route, going through the planetary gates, through the asteroids, then all the way through here, that's not that great. But if you imagine that Kempler was found like that, letting you have a much shorter route, that might be okay. Likewise, piracy is only as good as the juicy trade ships going back and forth. Once somebody's doing that route, then and only then piracy's good, and Puddle Jumper can come along here with blasters and start shooting people. Likewise, trade routes are only as good as cargo space you have to put the cargo in. Once you start filling that with shields to save yourself from pirates, trading becomes less good. And likewise, missions are only as good as they tell you where to bloody go. Leading to a weird passive-aggressive thing where a pilot will arrive in a world, draw a mission and go, oh, yeah, I could do that. And then leave, immediately throw the mission into space and go and look for another one. Further changing the quality of these three careers are the three NPC ships you can find. When you locate the system of Kemplar 2, then you've got this low-rent Judge Dredd who'll come out and shoot anyone with a criminal record. When you find Kemplar 2, the Smuggler's Den, you find the Scoundrel. Except he should probably just be called the 6-year-old boy, because he'll run out and shoot at anyone and then turn and run away immediately. Then there's the Merchant, who'll make trips between different planets, slowly becoming worth more and more money until eventually someone says, oh, sod it, and goes and blows them up and takes all that cash and gets a bounty. You see, when a player shoots another player, they get a bounty, slowly increasing the value of blowing up that ship in a kind of ecosystem. And then there's titles. Occasionally the game will just say, do this. If you want to be a veteran, be the first player to have completed 3 types of mission. If you want to be a velocity warden, visit 4 kinds of systems in 1 turn. Incidentally, here is a shut up and sit down house rule. When someone gets a title of the Insurgent or Velocity Warden or Most Kind, then you should have to call that player that instead of their real name, or get another bounty of 1,000 credits. Strassus is good, it's a lot of fun. But you see how this is kind of like an ecosystem. Who says there can be no life in outer space?
And if we look carefully now, yes, there it is. The majestic Manchester-class vessel, just leaving the star system after loading up. But disaster strikes for the noble beast as not 1, but 2 jackals are approaching to feed. Oh, it sounds like the Manchester-class vessel has something to say. Yes, it's the majestic cry of, you leave me alone, I'm not even in the lead anymore.
The end result of all of this is that Shia is the meanest game we've played in quite some time. It is a game where players will shoot you and take your hard-earned cargo. It's a game where you can be driving back from a really tedious mission and a player drives past and throws a torpedo at you just because he's in range, with all the blasé ease of someone high-fiving you as you leave the locker room. And it's worse because if you ever swap up to one of the bigger ships, which we'll want to do because it gives you a fame point, not only are you worth more fame points to everyone else to destroy, but you lose a turn if you are destroyed. Clearly then, you will have to decide whether all this is a good thing that makes the game even more fun, or whether you're just going to hurt some feelings and have a terrible time. And that's not the only thing that might piss you off or excite you about Shia. You see, Shia also takes the least care to mitigate the different results you can get on dice than any other game. The least, what's the grammar on that? Takes the least. It doesn't do it, right? You see, the way modules work is you take an armed token from your sheet and you place it on one of the available spaces on a module, like an engine. Then if it's a good engine, you might roll a d12, and you move that many spaces. This is secretly a roll and move game, which means you can say, set engines to warp, whatever, and your ship will go boop, or it might just go and that's your entire turn. Same is true for mining, and maddest of all, the game says luck is one of the ways you can get famous, and anytime anyone rolls a 20 on a d20, they just get a fame point. What? I mean, ultimately though, while this is crazy and it will lead to some turns that are just awful and some that are amazing and awful for everybody else, this still works towards everything else Shia is trying to achieve. It comes back to that theme which drips off every component in Shia like wet ink. Same as the back of the sheets capture your imagination. The fact that players can attack each other means you care about each other, by which I mean you hate each other. And the variance of the dice, which in this game acts like a crooked police state, sometimes letting you get away with incredibly unfair stuff and sometimes just punishing you, allows for variance. It allows for surprise, it allows for shock, it allows for David and Goliath struggles and players to come back from the brink of defeat. You know, like, the game is called Legends of a Drift System. That's what it sets out to achieve, and that's what it does. In the very first game we played, that Miami Vice speedboat I was telling you about, drove over a border without scanning into an unknown sector of space. It's a debris field, fine. 1 in 3 chance he dies. 3, he blows up. Later on, a few turns later, someone else, a much more calm and collected player, drives into the same debris field, fancying the same chances. 1, he blows up. That sector of space was haunted. There was no other word for it. It became legend. You know, that's what this game is about. It's not economic reorganization of a drift system. Or, you know, if you aren't so inclined to like this kind of thing, you could also call it bullshit happening in a drift system. So, that's Sheer. Do we recommend it? Yeah. I mean, it's a lovely vision for a game, and it's lovingly tested, and it's full of gorgeous components, and it's, you know, generous, and the designers have put the modding kind of tools available online, so you can download templates of cards and ships and map sector tiles, and then you can download and print and play loads of expansions to make your Zia set even bigger if you're into that kind of thing, which is great. So, you know, you could buy it. There is one problem, and maybe you should... Here's the thing, fans of being a bastard captain of an asshole ship. If you like collecting great riches and inflicting a terrible time upon your friends, Merchants and Marauders is still an absolutely fantastic game that lets you be an even bigger bastard to your friends and collect even greater riches and actually kind of make decisions. The simple choice of whether to be a merchant or marauder in Merchants and Marauders is huge. And Gia doesn't kind of, for all of its freedom and the bits, you never quite get that sense of mastery of your own destiny as in Merchants and Marauders. And for every rough edge in Sheer, like the fact that mining doesn't seem to make a lot of sense or that missions are a little repetitive and unexciting, Merchant Marauders offers surprises. I still haven't seen half of what this box has. And, like Rocky Balboa, despite the fact that it came out in 2010, it's just emerging from retirement now and getting a new, huge expansion this year. And you could buy this and the expansion for the price of Sheer. Then again, maybe if you like these games enough, you could buy both. They might both be bastards, but who's to say on your shelf they couldn't be friends?